Let's begin again lesson 3.3, module 3, which has talked about indigenous sciences and mathematics. So in lesson 3.2, we had talked about Charaka, who was the father of medicine, and we had talked about Sushruta, which was the father of surgery. Now, these two knowledgeable people in the ancient India were curing people with medicine and with surgery. And the medicine was purely Ayurvedic because it was made from the natural herbs and minerals, a concoction. And surgery. Surgery is a little alarming, but yes, it was performed. And intricate and complicated things like a cataract surgery, like plastic surgery or rhinoplasty, was also done. Fixing of fractures or dislocations, and everything was carried out. So we can see that the ancient Indian system was very, very sufficient in itself. It did not have to look upon the world and what was the world doing to get a cure. They themselves were self sufficient. They looked upon resources around them and were able to gather sufficient help and help the humans around them. Now, with Module 3 continuing, Indigenous Science and Mathematics, Lesson 3.3 carries for us Ecology, Metallurgy, Agriculture in ancient texts. So, ecology, metallurgy, and agriculture. Ancient Indian texts offer a rich tapestry of knowledge across various fields, including a deep understanding of ecology, sophisticated metallurgical practices, and well developed agricultural techniques. These aren't just incidental mentions, many texts demonstrate a profound awareness of these subjects and their interconnectedness. Let's take a deeper look into the ecology in ancient Indian texts. Ancient Indian texts, particularly the Vedas, Upanishads, Puranas, and even legal treatises like the Manu Smriti and the Arthashastra, reveal a strong sense of ecological awareness and philosophy of living in harmony with nature. Reverence for nature. So, why was nature so revered then also? The Vedas and Puranas frequently personify and deify natural elements like the earth, Prithvi, rivers, sun, air, and trees, which were beneficial and which were imperative for a human to grow, for a human to live, and they still are and will continue to be. This reverence fostered a deep respect for the environment. For example, the Rig Veda speaks of the earth delivering blessings and rivers providing holy water and remedies. Why do we talk about a Ganga dip or a Yamuna dip for that matter? There they talk about holy water remedies. Environmental protection. There are explicit injunctions against environmental destruction. The Manusmriti prescribes penalties for cutting down trees. The Charaka Samhita warns that the destruction of trees is the most harmful and perilous act for mankind. And if we contemplate and think about it, that we are living it now. We are facing so much of trouble because of deforestation that there's so many landslides and there's so much of upheaval in the weather when we talk about global warming. All this contributes towards global warming. So, if people in ancient times were careful, were mindful, even we need to follow suit. We need to be careful. And as it rightly says, the most harmful and perilous act for mankind is the destruction of trees. Pollution awareness. Ancient texts also show an understanding of pollution. Charaka noted air pollution as a cause of many ailments. The Atharva Veda emphasizes the importance of pure air as medicine, and the Rig Veda speaks of a protective layer around the earth akin to the modern ozone layer, warning against actions that could damage it. Now, we are talking constantly about ozone depletion. Why do we have air purifiers in our home? Because of the depleting air quality, by the forests being cut down, by so much of global warming, by so much of pollution caused by our technology. Sustainable practices. Kautilya's Arthashastra contains comprehensive guidelines for managing forests, emphasizing their preservation for future generations. The texts also allude to sustainable practices like using natural products, neem sticks for toothbrushes, Rita for shampoo, to reduce waste. We generate so much of plastic, so much of non reusable product that it is littering the earth, it is causing pollution. So, these people had sustainable practices which kept the environment and the ecological system in a balance. Interdependence. The underlying philosophy emphasized the interconnectedness of all living beings and the environment, viewing humans as part of a larger ecosystem rather than having dominion over it. Just ruling over it cannot help it. We need to be mindful of the resources that we are using so that we don't relinquish all of them before it is too late. This is reflected in the comparison of the earth to a mother whom one should not at any point in time take for granted. Talking about metallurgy in ancient Indian texts. Ancient India had a remarkably advanced metallurgical tradition spanning millennia, and numerous texts hint at or explicitly describe metal working processes and the use of various metals. Early mention of metals, where do we see it? The Rig Veda, one of the oldest texts, use the Sanskrit term ayas to refer to metal, which could be copper, bronze, or even iron, depending on the context. Later Vedic texts mention the discovery of gold, that is Hiranya, as their first metal, followed by ayas. Subsequently, silver, rajat, lead, sesam, copper, loha or lohita, and tin, trapu, were discovered. Types of metals and alloys which were there then. Ancient Indian metallurgists were skilled in working with gold, with silver, with copper, bronze, lead, tin, and iron, whichever metals were present at that point in time or which were discovered and identified then. They knew how to alloy metals to create stronger or more desirable material, such as adding tin to copper to produce bronze, or nickel, arsenic, or lead to harden bronze further. Sophisticated techniques. Lost wax casting. The Indus Valley civilization, dating back to the 3rd millennium BCE, had perfected the lost wax casting technique for creating intricate metal objects, including figurines of humans and animals. Example, the dancing girl from Mohenjo-daro. It is very famous and it is depicted in the movie Mohenjo-daro also. Wood steel. India was renowned for its production of wood steel. So, what is wood steel? A high carbon crucible steel that is exceptionally strong and durable. This steel was highly sought after and exported widely, even reaching the Roman Empire. So, you can see the acceptability, the usability that the Romans wanted it. The process involved unique heating and cooling cycles to produce a material ideal for swords and other weapons. Ironworking. Ancient Indian metallurgists who excelled in ironworking, including forging, casting, and heat treatment, the Delhi iron pillar, dating back to the 4th century CE, stands as a testament to their advanced knowledge, exhibiting remarkable Rust resistance due to its unique composition and manufacturing process. We all know about the iron pillar which is there in Delhi, how it is sturdy and how rust resistant it is. Zinc distillation. India was also a pioneer in the large scale production of zinc through a unique downward distillation process. Organizational aspects. Kautilya's Arthashastra details the roles of officials like the Director of Metals, Director of Forest Produce, and Director of Mining, indicating a well organized and state supervised metallurgical industry. So when we look at, for example, Mohenjo-daro as a movie, I'm sure most of us may have seen it. They had such a perfect system of governance that they may have been following Kautilya's Arthashastra then as a framework to have complete harmony as in the society and the environment and to have good governance also. Agriculture in ancient Indian texts. Agriculture was the backbone of Indian civilization, and various texts provide extensive information on practices, crops, and agricultural management. Vedic period practices. The Rig Veda and Atharva Veda contain numerous references to agricultural technology and practices. Ploughing. Texts like the Atharva Veda and Sataptha Brahmana describe the process of tilling and ploughing, mentioning implements like the plough, langal or sira, and the use of bullocks, sometimes 6, 8, or even 12, to pull heavy ploughs. Sowing, reaping, threshing. The four main stages of crop production: tilling, karshana, sowing, vapana, reaping, lavana, and threshing, madana, are clearly described. Now, crop rotation and soil fertility happened very effectively then also. Ancient farmers were aware of the importance of soil fertility. The Rig Veda recommends cow dung for fertility restoration, and texts like Kautilya's Arthashastra and Varamira's Brihat Samhita advocate for crop rotation with restorative plants and green manuring. So we do know the concept of crop rotation because when a field is exhausted of its minerals, then we plant things which can replenish them back, which can bring back the value of the soil so that yet another fruitful crop can be planted again. The Krishi Prashara explicitly states that crops grown without manures would not provide good yield. So, what is the concept of organic farming? Organic farming is this, that the fertility of the soil is maintained, that natural methods of fertilizing the soils are used, no added pesticides, nothing artificial. Seed quality. The Manusimriti emphasizes the importance of good seed in good soil for abundant yield. Subijam Sukshetra Jayate Sampadayate. So, good seed for good soil. Crops and seasons. Ancient texts mention a variety of cereals. There was wheat, there was barley, there was rice, pulses, the marsh, the urad, sesame, tropical fruits, mango, the melon, cotton, and sugarcane. They also show awareness of seasonal cropping patterns and even suggest specific auspicious days for agricultural activities. Now, all these auspicious days we still are following in some or the other form. Every region follows, like Baisakhi in Punjab. There are so many others that the Northeast people follow according to their traditions. So it was seasonal according to the region and then according to the crops which could be grown in a particular region in a particular season. Irrigation and water management. The Indus Valley civilization had advanced irrigation systems. Later, Vedic texts and the Atharva Veda discuss water conservation and traditional irrigation methods, including wells, canals, and water wheels. Rainwater harvesting was also a key practice. Pest control and plant protection. Ancient texts also touch upon plant protection from pests like mice, like burrs and locusts, and describe remedies and ceremonies for safeguarding the crops. The Brihat Samhita promotes the use of plants for pest control. Integrated farming. There was often an integrated approach linking agriculture with healthcare, with the cultivation of medicinal plants alongside food crops. So it was like a balance or a tandem that went along. Organic farming principles utilizing natural inputs and harmony with natural processes were central to ancient agricultural practices. Now, organic farming, all natural processes, why are we reverting back to them? Because they were sustainable then and sustainable now. It will help us preserve our ecological system. Now, here are the few water resources that we have Cheruvu, we have Bavi, we have Jurakuta, we have the Khazana, and these are all region specific where people wanted to harvest the rainwater so that later on it could be used. And in those times, rain was ample. Drought was there, yes, but then the population also was less. Unlike times of now that we have long spells of drought and we have long rainy spells, and we have a sort of an imbalance created by us. But at that point in time, people did know how to manage their ecology. People did know how to harvest the resources that they had to be fruitfully productive. With this, we finish lesson 3.3, and herein we have learnt that all the agricultural processes, all the metallurgical processes, were there and were very useful then, and evolving is happening now. But yes, the basic was present then. The basic use of the metals that we saw was available then. And then agriculture, there were tools used in agriculture, there were animals used in agriculture. So nothing is new. That the organic farming that we so largely talk about now was not new then also. So they did know about preservation and conservation. So we too need to think about the same. Thank you.